Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's Thursday module. We're going to be diving into a discussion of the biblical book of Job and the wisdom passages of the Hebrew Bible. And in this first slide, you may notice I have posted a screen cap from Michael Jackson's Earth Song video. So for those of you out there that are already thinking, what in the world is Miss Woods doing? Why are we talking about Michael Jackson in relation to the Bible? Well, the answer might surprise you there. I have included that video in this week's module, and I would like for you to look at that. If you've seen it before, great. I'm sure you've heard the song at some point. But if you have not watched that in several years, I want you to go back and look at that in light of today's discussion. Because it actually is quite revealing, and it does relate to the concept of theodicy that we're going to talk about today. So what exactly do we mean when we say that a work is a work of theodicy? Whoops. All right. We always seem to have some issues getting these slides to advance. All right, here we go. All right, so these are our bullet points that we want to think about in terms of a theodicy. First of all, a theodicy is a work that is considered essentially one that raises the question, why does God allow evil and suffering to exist? The question then hinges on this principle. If God is so good and pure and just and holy, then why does he allow good people to suffer hardship or pain? And this is a question that has always plagued mankind, I think, ever since, as long as we've been aware enough to ask these questions. Why does evil exist? Why does suffering exist? If God is capable of stopping it, then why doesn't he? If God is so all-powerful, he could easily stop evil and suffering, so why doesn't he? Or is it that he really isn't powerful enough to stop it? And that's a valid question that could be raised. Or does he just not care? Is he indifferent? There was a whole school of thought during the Age of Enlightenment, deism, they called it, which deism it's kind of a spiritual belief that is underpinned by the fact that, yes, there is a God, God exists, but God is essentially indifferent to the universe. God has he's put these mechanisms in motion, and he's created this great universe, and it's made up of all these very intricate laws, etc. But God himself is not personally involved in that creation. And that does kind of go against the grain of what we generally believe as Christians in this society. But again, that's what the deists believed. And it's a valid question that has often been raised through the years. So a work that is a theodicy raises all of these questions, but works of true theodicy also attempt to vindicate God. And this is what the wisdom passages in the Bible do. Although, as I said here, these answers may not always be as clearly defined as what we would like them to be. They may not always be spelled out exactly the way we would like them to be. But generally, if you dig hard enough and look in the right place, you can find those answers. Now, here's another definition for you. A long, mournful complaint or lamentation, a list of woes. This generally applies to what we might call a Jeremiad. And I'm going to see if my next slide addresses that. Yes, here we go. Here we go. It just was taking it a little long to pop up there. And, well, getting back to Earth Song, in that discussion, that work also falls into this definition of a Jeremiad. Because in that song, Jackson essentially raises 38 questions, which are mostly direct questions to God about why the world is in the state that it's in. So it does fit that definition of being that long list of complaints or lamentations. Now, again, all of this is going to tie back to the book of Job and become very relevant there.